Hello. Once again, we're here in the Blue Soul studio with two lovely ladies that's going to be speaking about the Juneteenth celebration 2026. We have Miss MarQue Munday and Miss D. Evans.
Yes.
Well, now, starting date, the very first event that's open to the public that there is no charges. What date?
None of my events are paid. I charge no. All of my events are free, open to the public. The first one will be at Henderson City Hall on June 1st.
Now, what time
That
does
will
that take
be
place?
I believe they have an afternoon. I believe it's 2 o'clock for them.
Okay.
The Las Vegas City Hall will be on June 2nd. And we will be starting there about 10:30. We will have a program in the Now Cafe on the second floor of City Hall. And we will go from there downstairs outside to raise the flag. We will go from there to her events, June 5th and 6th at the West Las Vegas Theater with the pageant. And again, we have 300 seats. There's room. Right. Bring your friends, bring your family, tell everyone. So we will have that on the 5th and the 6th. We then go to the 18th. We will have North Las Vegas will have a flag raising with Pamela Goins Brown. The 18th, we will have the two events at the library. We will have the jazz show in the evening, so so the parents can come out, the adults, the children. Again, it's in the event center. They do not have a theater in the new library, but that's the West Las Vegas Library. And that at 12 noon to 2 p.m., I will be there speaking, as we have been speaking today, on Juneteenth, on our history, on the music, on the pioneers of the area. I will answer questions. I will be talking about the myths that they said. Well, we didn't fight for our freedom, or we got freedom at Juneteenth, and we didn't. We would tell they will say that. We didn't invent anything. We didn't do anything for ourselves. I will be there to talk on that subject. I will do about 6 topics, 15, 20 minutes each, and we'll go through it and have questions. So I want to keep it moving because 2 hours is a long time. We'll have a break in the middle, but I will give them an opportunity if they have some questions they want to ask. I will do that also. I'll answer questions, or if I cannot answer the question, I will research it, or I will make the phone calls and find out an answer for them. So Woody Woods will be our master of ceremonies and director, and hopefully we will get a couple of entrepreneurs, young musicians that are not professionals that might be able to play with him on that day. And between that, opening up, we will have a very special speaker. We have a very special storyteller that will open up and tell the story of the birth of jazz prior to Woody's performance. So you want to come out and you want to see the storyteller, Mr. Ellis Rice.
And I see that it's called the Doc Myers Jazz Jam because Doc Myers was the instrumental person behind Juneteenth.
He was the founder of the organization. He was a medical doctor, a medical missionary, and a musician, a trained missionary, trained
trumpet, right?
He did trumpet and piano.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was from Chicago, like I am, and but he got his education in Madison, Wisconsin, and moved south and never left.
Okay. The 18th will be the last.
No, we finish up on the 19th in Henderson. We are co-partners with the city of Henderson for the Juneteenth festival, which starts at 6 o'clock that night on the 19th.
Is that entertainment or
it will be
conversation or what is what that be encompasses?
That is entertainment and MC and we will have some dancers, spoken word. Right. It'll be a full 2-hour program there on stage at Water Street.
And all of this information is on these websites that you discussed it.
Yes.
And they're all free.
They're all free. They can call me at 888-509-6563, extension 713.
Go there one more time.
888-509 6563, which is NJOF, extension 713. And we will be at the Shepherd's Breakfast to pass the word on also the last Wednesday, which is just before we start our programs. We will go to the Shepherd's Breakfast. Now, she also has the
hotline. We have the Miss Juneteenth Nevada Scholarship Program hotline, and that's 725-312-2084. You can call and text that line 24 hours a day. Somebody will get back to you to answer your questions, comments, or concerns.
Rights. We've got to teach them about not only the 13th Amendment, but the 14th and the 15th Amendment, and that's what Juneteenth Nevada and the Miss Juneteenth pageant program is doing. We're teaching them about their history.
You were talking a lot about educating and being able to educate our youth and so forth and so on. So I guess that was one of the things when it was instituted to do something called the Miss Juneteenth parcel of the Juneteenth
Yes.
Committee. How does that fit into these young ladies that you work with and educating them and trying to give them that know-how and scholarship because they are awarded things, right?
Yes, I will say that having the Miss Juneteenth Nevada Scholarship Program, this is a program for our young ladies, 14 to 19 years old, to help them, to educate them, to teach them leadership, to teach them culture, history, their ancestors, give them the background of cultural pride. I will say that it's a great opportunity. It's getting that information to them to feel viable and desire to know it. It makes sense when you say Juneteenth and you want to connect those dots. And if we can throw a fashion show in there so that it can catch your interest. You like fashion, let's bring the designers on. Yes, of course, let's do that. We like music. We like to have parties and entertainment. We have our soiree. I mean, we do a pitch tournament. We bring people in. I mean, we are seeking and reaching to tickle the fancy and the curiosity of these young ladies, 14 to 19, so that when they make this transition from high school, they don't make a transition off the edge of the cliff.
Pitch tournament.
We have the pitch tournament that's coming
Limited
up.
seating.
Limited, very
because
limited.
Now, what's the pitch tournament?
The pitch tournament is part of the 8-week road to Miss Juneteenth that prepares them for
Oh, this
their
is only
speaking.
open to the young ladies.
It's to the young ladies, and we have a few selected guests that come in because they need somebody to talk to. So we have some store owners, some designers, some business people, our Juneteenth Legacy Council. They need to walk a room, warm chat, share their introductions. Then they will actually go to the front and we wait. They have to fill out their bingo cards to get bingo. That'll get them their swag bags for the end. So that's their little gifting. But then they will have an opportunity to speak, to announce themselves to the community. Hi, I'm so-and-so, Miss Juneteenth Nevada, whatever that sash is. Tell a little bit about herself, her aspirations, if she's aspiring to go to school or become whatever that is. Give her name again, and the next person will come up. So it's a time for her to be able to speak, publicly speak in a room, enunciate, build her confidence, getting ready to go on to the big stage for the actual scholarship program pageant on June 6th.
Sash and crowns?
They do receive their sash and crowns at the end of the pitch tournament. That is when they actually receive their sash for their area and their crown before they get to the other stage.
And the voting? The other voting?
So we have something called the People's Choice Award, and that will go into effect really right after the pitch tournament. It'll probably start online on Friday, which is the 15th, and that is their opportunity to get the community involved, to support them in this. And yes, that support is monetary. So they would then vote for them, and the girl that receives the largest amount of votes then will receive recognition at the actual pageant
Okay.
and support for the program.
let our listening audience understand or have a better knowledge of what Juneteenth is and what does it represent.
Okay. The ancestors were brought here in August of 1619, and they were originally they were not enslaved. They were indentured. They were able to buy their way out within 7 to 10 years. However, as times changed, one indentured man was taken to court, and the judge gave him slavery for life. But it turned out he owed a bill to the person that he was working for. Now, once slavery started, then slavery followed with the mother. If the mother was free, the child was free. If the child was born to an enslaved woman, then the child was enslaved. So that changed because originally it started off that the child's position in life followed the father's, as per the British rule. So we went forward from the 1619, we'll come up to 1865. The Civil War is over. The Emancipation Proclamation has been written and prepared across the country and enforced, but it was not enforced in Texas. This was the farthest place from Washington, and a number of so-called slave owners, enslaved people, were sent to Texas because they could not enforce the rule. May 25th, 1865, a number of ships with soldiers embarked from Hopewell, what is now called Hopewell, Virginia. They were traveling to the Texas-Mexico border to fight the war against Maximilian. They ran into a storm. They needed supplies. And on June 19th, 1865, they arrived in Galveston, Texas. The black soldiers, United States colored troops, got off the ships, went through the town, and discovered that there were people who were enslaved because the Emancipation Proclamation could not be enforced. And they made a point of having it enforced before they got back on the ship. So that was General Order Number 3 that was written, signed by F.W. Emory. Thank you. F.W. Emory signed it, and they posted it on the door of the church, the little colored church. And that was the beginning of Juneteenth. That was the first day of enforced freedom across the country, or recognized enforced, because enslaved people held by the Native Americans were held for another year until June of 1866.
So now when we look at this year, 2026, and America is celebrating 250 years of their freedom, what do you feel, if you feel that there's a difference between the 250 that America has or be experiencing versus the Juneteenth experience over these 100 years?
Well, for one thing, Juneteenth kind of, when they went north, they kind of lost the value of Juneteenth. They kind of forgot about it. In the South, they did the family gatherings and had Juneteenth. When they went to the mechanized states, they kind of forgot about it until the civil rights movement came around and brought a rebirth to the idea of Juneteenth. So we didn't have that. We were not free in 1776, or most of our ancestors were not free. Again, our freedom came supposedly in 1865, but again, it was still minimal. It was still dependent upon who was in power. We did have a period in the 1870s where we had black representatives, senators. They did have political offices that we held. And then the Ku Klux Klan and others came back in, and we lost the momentum.
Well, we see how things are going now, and it seems that there's a reversal in history. So what can Juneteenth establish to carry on what was once discrimination and not an obligation in helping the black slaves? What do you feel can be the difference maker now to change that?
I think right now things are going back to that period if we're not careful. They're turning over the rocks. I would say that the black people have known that this was going on all along. Of course, in the Caucasian environment, they tell you, don't talk about the story. It will affect our children. Leave the history out of it. Let's keep it quiet. It's over. It's done with. Don't go anywhere else with it. Today, as I say, with the environment that we have, we are still the ones that are short on food, having problems with housing, having problems getting our children educated properly. The education that they're getting does not include our history. And if you go back, we built the country. We're the ones that actually did the architecture. We were doing the work, so we had to do the inventions of the things that you worked with. So we were the ones that built the ironing board, that did the iron, that did the curling iron, that did whatever, the vacuum cleaner or the duster, because we were the ones that were doing the work. But we didn't get credit for that either. We still did not know how to read or write. We didn't get a copyright. So we're still living off of nothing. They are still benefiting from our inventions. The banks and the churches were involved. So now you will occasionally get a bank that says, oh, we found our records and we're going to make some adjustments with the community. The banks may say, oh, we found that we did own slaves and we're going to justify, we're going to do something. But reparations are something else that some people are talking about, but I don't expect to see it in my lifetime. The Japanese got the reparations. The owners of the enslaved people, they got money for losing their property. But whether we ever get it, I don't know.
Well, when we look at the temperature of what's going on today, and as you have mentioned many different things, that there's still insecurities on that are not being taken care of, what do you feel would be necessary to bring our youth in understanding our history and making more of a change? Because as you said, reparations, you don't feel it would be something in your lifetime, but is this something you feel that they should be fighting for in their lifetime?
I think first we have to work on education. They don't know what they're fighting for. We have had a holiday, federal holiday, Title V, since 2021. In Nevada, we've had the holiday since 2023. They know they have the day off of work, the parents do, but they don't know the story of Juneteenth. They don't know that we had to fight for our freedom. And that is one of the issues that they have. They said we didn't fight for our freedom, and we did. We have been in every war, in every skirmish since we came to this country. And so we've got to educate them to know they should have pride in what they're doing, pride in what their ancestors have done. Move forward with their education and teach their children, teach the parents. Because again, the parents are the product of this current education system. So we have to teach at least 2 generations right now. The generation before that are the grandparents, and when they left the South, they kicked the dust off their feet and did not look backwards. And this year we're going into a new program. We just had a meeting with the Commission for the Centennial Commission. And we are, for the next year, we will be working on the history of Las Vegas. We will be going into the pioneers of the Las Vegas community and telling their stories. So we've got to research their stories, tell their stories, hopefully find someone with some newspaper archives that we can maybe dig into. We don't say anything unless we can back it up. Right. So we really need some archives. And it's, right now I still go to the New York Times for 1800s to read their newspapers to find the stories to back up what we're saying. But we came here in 1905. You had the 3 housing, the 3 boarding houses. One is still in existence, Harrison House. Right now, I'm working on finding the other two names, which I'm sure would be in the newspaper because I'm sure something has happened at some point where Sammy Davis was at this house, or Lena Horne was here. I'm sure those stories were there, and we really need to have some of these stories to back up the history of the community.
Well, I would come with that in thinking about what effect do you feel technology will have in future interest in bringing forth what Juneteenth is with the AI, chat box, and so forth. How will these things help or hinder?
There is a fear for AI. In some cases, AI is a tool.
Yes.
It is not something that you just turn your life over. But if you work with the AI and you check everything that comes back, AI can be of value.
Yes.
AI can help you write a book report, but you still have to read the book, so that you know if the book report is correct as a child. But technology, my grandson is graduating this month with a master's in electrical engineering. I couldn't get past the table of contents. There was 100 pages of documentation. I couldn't understand the thing he wrote.
Okay, I see.
So there are children, there are youth that are getting the education. Hopefully they will be allowed to apply it through the businesses, or at some point be able to establish their own business.
Okay, so as you were discussing the participation factor, from what I could pick up is that there's a difficulty in the outreach in getting contestants to want to participate?
Yes, there is a definite challenge for us reaching our young ladies in the community. And we have gone to high schools. We have reached out in different church organizations. We go to different youth organizations, and we have also partnered with other girls organizations. So knowing that a group has the same demographic that we do, they're girls 14, 15, 16 years old, even they're coming to the meet and greet, but it's getting that turnover, closing the deal, so to speak. They're not making that commitment. And what I'm finding is, honestly, the generational gap between when I was talking about the grandmother to the mom, the child, and obviously then to the organization, it's that gap. Many of the grandmothers that are available, those are the ones that are stepping up to help out so that their granddaughters can be a part of the program. So if we're missing that component, and I am reaching back to the grandmothers specifically because age-wise, they remember the fight. They remember that transition. When you remember the civil rights movement and you remember marching for Dr. King and you remember that your ancestors, your grandparents, were enslaved, and coming from the South. My parents came from the South, Confederate South at that. So I have a connection to this history. My great-grandfather was a slave, and I met him. He lived till he was 117 years old, and I have the gravestone. You know, my grandfather lived to 99. He literally was 2 months from his birthday of 100. So when you are looking back and you can come through that history, we have to know where we came from so we can keep a line and a clear vision on where we'd like to get to with the steps. Now, we have the Juneteenth Legacy Council, which is 8 professional women that work with me, whether it's working in the community to get sponsorships and help out with support for the program, or we have Talitha Barris, that's the Girl Scouts. We have our own Girl Scout troop now. So the Girl Scout starts, I believe she said, age five, and goes all the way up through high school, right, into the beginning of your college years. So you can have a career as a Girl Scout. We have our own troop. This gets to teach them entrepreneurial skills. So we're giving them different outlets. And hey, people love the cookies, right? That's a great venture to start with for the entrepreneurial side of it, but we spin everything. So if it's hairdo that you want to do, if it's makeup that you want to do, if it's clothing that you want to do, we just take the pieces and parts of that foundation of being an entrepreneur and shift it to whatever your goals, dreams, aspirations, and desires are.
So now, with 2026 already pretty much in the can, because those are the 3 young ladies that you're going to
Yes.
recognize this year, when does it open for the 2027 for those young ladies to put in applications or whatever?
As soon as we crown our queen for this year, 2026, June 6th, the new application will open for 2027. That night after the coronation, I will actually go in and upload the new registration packet.
So now, what is the amount of time that the young ladies are involved? Is it a 6-month program, an 8-week program? What is the length of time that they have to be obligated to that?
It is a 1-year program.
Oh, it's a 1-year
It's
program.
a 1-year program.
Okay.
So from the time they are crowned, they will go all the way around until they basically hand their crown off to the next girl.
No, I'm saying as far as when you're trying to get more young ladies involved, and they say, well, does it go from September to January?
I
or
understand. I
Okay.
understand. So we begin our 8-week road to Miss Juneteenth in April, which is their preparation time. So April, we do a 12-hour shut-in with them, and each week we meet until we reach the fashion show on the 5th, which usually is a Friday night, and then the pageant, the scholarship program pageant, happens that next day. So they have 8 weeks to that point in preparation. So we'll do a pitch tournament, we'll do weekly meetings. If there's an outing that we can do, we will do that. It's a bonding time for them to really come together as a sisterhood. We are not competing with each other. I can never be you, you can never be me, so let's support each other. You have a gift of this, great, we're going to support you on that. You have the gift of that, great. The title holders are set in position to receive the scholarships that we are giving them. And so that is why there is, if we want to call it a hierarchy, a queen, a first runner-up, and a second runner-up. After that coronation happens, now we're in June, we already did the flag raisings. We are now going to the Juneteenth celebrations. In July, we'll have a formal event. So now we will implement some of the mentorship that we learned in the 8 weeks. So we have a formal dinner setting. So they get to experience dining in etiquette, okay? It's set on a pageant platform so that they really do understand whatever room you're in, you're supposed to be in. And we need you to know how to show up in that room, how to act in that room, how to engage in that room, which is why we do the pitch tournament. You are leaders in your community. That's what you're stepping up to do. You have an aspiration, a goal, and a dream, something that you're trying to accomplish. You're going to need to know how to speak for yourself to do that. We give you platforms. We introduce you to legislature. What happens during the summer? Internship programs are available. So guess what? You sat in the office with the mayor. You sat in the office with the councilwoman. So when these things are opened up and they're looking for interns, guess who they're looking at? You.
Have you ever had them journal?
We do. During our 8-week road to Miss Juneteenth, we have mentors that come in with them, and usually during that time they receive a swag bag. And somewhere in the swag bag, there's always a journal book. This year, the book was blue, and I have them utilize that book to take the notes on the things that they need to do, to learn organizational skills so that they can set a schedule and keep appointments. That begins to work on their commitment and their accountability. Accountability is big because we can say all of this, but if you don't ever come back and show up and do the things that you're supposed to do, they have deadlines. One of the big things about pageants are deadlines. They set them that way because literally you can excuse yourself by not meeting the deadline. This also happens when you get a job. If you don't show up on your shift or the day and the time that you're supposed to be there, eventually they're going to let you go. And so the process that we're doing with them is real life applicable things that they can utilize.
And this is spoken from somebody that has been a pageant queen
Amen.
herself.
Amen.
So you know the path for which they have to go
Yes.
and to develop themselves and to take it to the next level
Yes.
and the new level.
She joined the pageant to learn the ways of the pageant. She was an entertainer. She was a mother, so she had those sides covered, but she did not have pageantry
Right.
in her history. So she actually spent a year doing pageantry work to learn the background.
Reaching out in the community, getting community sponsors and support, walking around with the sash and crown and the crown on. I mean, it definitely is different, but it builds a confidence and a self-assurance in you that I can say, I went through. And did I have those feelings of course I did. I'm human. And so I set up events and had other women come to those events, other Sash sisters come to those events, and now I reach back into that community of Sash sisters to have them come. We had Miss Black Nevada came to our shut-in and spoke to the young ladies, Dr. P.J. Cooper, and it was really great to have her come. She had her sash and her crown on, and I took a moment, and the question was asked, what made you become a doctor? And she said, the fact that I could is the reason that she did. Because there was a time in our history, you couldn't even be educated, let alone take your education to that
level.
Exactly. And so I thought, wow, it's inspiring. I've been kind of sitting back, but I've got 2 years to get my master's degree, so I'm pushing forward.
So with all this information that you
Yes.
have shared, share with us the most important part. How do people know how to contact to participate in that program, as well as email addresses and so forth for the organization, or is it all under one umbrella?
Well, we do have 2 websites. It's MissJuneteenthNevada.org.
Slow.
Miss Juneteenth Nevada, all spelled out, .org, and JuneteenthNevada.org. And our websites do cross each other. So there is a place that you could actually click to go over to Juneteenth Nevada, and then there's a place on Juneteenth Nevada where you could click over to the Miss Juneteenth Nevada. MissJuneteenthNevada.org, our website, my goal was to do what the web designers do for the young people today. Click, 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 click. Just while you're on there scrolling, anything that you touch, just touch everything. If it clicks, if you need to go back, just go back. But click. Touch on pictures, they click, they open up to different things. You can move around. The obvious things are the application. It says application, click on that. And you will find all of the information, and you'll be able to see the things that we've done with the program. Now, one of the big parts of the program is the Empower Her. This really does encompass much of what we're going to go really deeply into with this year going forward. And the Empower Her program is set to empower you from the women's shoulders that we stand on from yesteryear to today. One of the things that you had said earlier, Ms. D, talking about slavery, indentured slaves, our first freed woman was Mumbet Elizabeth Freeman. She is part of the iconic women we have in the Empower Her program. She was born in 1742 or somewhere around that time, but she earned her freedom through the court system, the Massachusetts Judicial Supreme Court system, in 1781. And that was because those people had migrated north, and she was with them as a servant, an indentured servant, a slave. Well, she was a slave, but she gained her freedom ear hustling as the gentlemen were sitting at the table because they wanted to secede, right? So they wanted freedom for the state. And so she's ear hustling, listening, and when they got up to take a break, she went over to one of the lawyers and she said, "Does that apply to me?" And he thought about it and he said, yes, it does. And he fought in that Supreme Court system there, and she gained her freedom. She was the first Black freed slave woman, a woman that was in slavery.
Okay, so as we're going to wrap it up, I need to hear as you started off, as we started off, with the list of things of information and so forth and so on. I do have one of the flyers that I guess someone could go online to the library district and find out, and they can also go to the city as well, that they would have that information.
Yes.
And as well as the
And
website that
both
she
of our
just...
websites also, we're on Facebook,
Yes.
we're on Instagram, we are on TikTok,
and LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, and Threads. So if they want more information, they can go to the website at any time and look for the information. And again, one of the other problems we have is with the parents, the girls need transportation to go to where they're going to be.
Yes.
We don't, we had one young
You can
lady-
only provide so much.
Right.
And they need to extend themselves to get more involved as well.
We had one of our queens, she learned how to use Uber and to set her own schedule
Yes.
and to when to call. She had a little part-time job. She paid for, she took the responsibility.
Yes.
And we're very proud of her. She started very quiet, and now she can go out and speak anywhere.
So what are some of the things that the recipients, you give them a swag bag type of thing you said in the beginning. So what does the queen receive at this ceremony at the end?
So the queen receives a scholarship for $1,500.
Oh,
When they graduate from high school, when they register in college, it goes to the college
right.
and not to the young lady.
The college, the
so
university,
it's not, they don't get a book.
or
They
the
don't,
trade
you
school.
can't get the books.
No.
the college, the university, or the trade school, culinary school, cosmetology school, higher education. So it's not just a college and university. Everybody's not college material. Maybe
Higher education
higher
of some
education,
type.
yes.
And
Expansion.
it goes to pay towards their expenses, whether it's a book fee or whether it's a locker fee. The money is put on their books at the school.
The next thing we added was New York Fashion Week. So we have a partnership with Timeless Beauty Fashion, and she gives our queen a sponsorship into the New York Fashion Week at the New Yorker in New York City with a Times Square billboard and a picture in the New York Fashion Week magazine.
Very nice.
So that was implemented
2
years ago. Now, Juneteenth, with Miss D and her being the communicator she is, we're going international. There is already programs, Juneteenth programs that are overseas, and you know me, the travel extraordinaire, I'm ready to take the girls, but I don't have any to take.
So now, with that in mind, when is the national pageantry take place?
October.
October.
It's in October?
We have an annual meeting every October. This year we will be in Dallas, 16th, 17th, and 18th of October. And at that time we will have, we're actually breaking the annual meeting into 2 tiers this year. We're going to have the regular adult portion, but we are also doing a whole line of classes for the youth. So some of it will be the members, the directors' children that they will bring with them, but a lot of them will be the youth from Dallas. So and next year we will be in Salt Lake City. So in Salt Lake City, she has already agreed that she will continue the training and the programming for the youth. They will be taught about the voting rights. We're going to have a program on jazz, on the music. They're going to learn about the freedoms. They're going to be given classes on leadership and responsibility. So these are the things that we are planning for the youth annually, and hopefully the directors will go back and take these classes with them and work on their individual states. We have people in all 50 states. We need sponsorship to help pay for what we want to do. And again, as I said, we are working with the Centennial Commission, and we are bringing boys in this year. We're
Yes.
going to work to bring in a junior Buffalo Soldier for the boys. Next month, the last game of the season, the Boulder baseball team.
Okay.
They're supposed to recognize the Negro Baseball League to bring some attention to the kids that we have not, the youth. I take the word kids back. The youth that we have not worked with, we are going to try to get them involved by telling them about the baseball league, the Negro League that went from, I think it was like 1926 coming forward. So we're working on that. Again, we're going to teach them about the Buffalo Soldiers. We're going to teach them about the 6888.
Yes.
So we want to know that the women are in the military, that there were men there, that there were other avenues of expertise. So that's our goal for this year.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this afternoon. And I want to once again thank you all for coming out. And please participate. It's very important that we support these organizations and the things they're trying to do, and especially when they're reaching out to our young people to bring up the future for what it holds, our future. Thank you very much.